This is a story that doesn't start with a loud bang in some distant rocky mountain range. No, this one starts in the quiet, damp air around a place called Sabon Gari Fishingo in Borno State. It's a community whose name evokes images of calm waters and daily catch, but for years, life here has been anything but calm. It's a place that exists on the fragile edge of survival, where the sound of a fishing net being cast is often drowned out by the whispered fears of what or who lurks in the surrounding bush. But on the evening of February 28th, the hunters became the hunted. Before we wade into the tall grass of this story, I want to ask you to hit that like button and subscribe to this channel. These are stories that need to be told, not just for news, but for awareness. We need to stay informed to stay safe, and your subscription ensures this information reaches you first. Picture the scene as the sun began to set around 8:30 p.m. The sky over Borno would have been that deep inky blue, with the last light fading behind the acacia trees. For the troops of Operation Hadin Kai, Sector 2, this wasn't a time to stand down. In fact, for them, this was the hour to move. Moving with them were the quasi-security forces, the local hunters and vigilantes. These are men who know the land not from maps, but from a lifetime of walking it. They know the difference between the rustle of an animal and the crackle of a footstep that shouldn't be there. This partnership, this air-ground synergy as the military calls it, is the sharp edge of the spear in this conflict. The military brings the firepower, but these local guides bring the eyes and ears that technology simply cannot replicate. The objective was clear, Sabon Gari Fishingo, but the path to get there led them through a place called Kayawa. The contact at Kayawa. We don't know exactly who spotted whom first. In these operations, contact is often sudden and violent. One moment, the patrol is moving through the scrub. The next, the silence is ripped apart by the crack of gunfire. The troops had made contact with the terrorists. Now, imagine the tension in that moment. The element of surprise, lost. The darkness, now punctuated by muzzle flashes. But according to security sources who spoke to Zagazola Makama, a security analyst with deep contacts in the region, the troops' response was immediate and devastating. They engaged the insurgents with superior firepower. Have you ever considered what superior firepower truly means in a moment like that? It doesn't just mean bigger guns. It means discipline. It means training taking over when fear tries to paralyze you. It means a coordinated response that tells the other side, you picked the wrong fight. And the terrorists understood that message instantly. They fled. They didn't retreat in an orderly fashion. They fled in disarray. In the world of counterinsurgency, that phrase is music to a commander's ears. It means the enemy is scared, broken, and thinking only of saving themselves. In their panic, they abandoned things they needed to survive: 2 motorcycles and 5 bicycles. These aren't just vehicles. In the deep bush, they are lifelines. They are the difference between moving supplies and being stranded. Here's the thing to reflect on. For every terrorist that escaped, there is a network of people back in the villages who are terrified of their return. And for every piece of equipment left behind, it's a small victory for the people of Borno. It's one less motorcycle that will be used to terrorize a village, one less bicycle used to transport weapons.
The troops didn't just stop there. They pushed the advantage. Following the skirmish, they moved through the area and found structures. Not homes, not in the way we think of them. These were life support bases. Think about that term for a second. Life support. It implies that without these places, the terrorist ecosystem cannot breathe. These are the hidden caches of food, the rudimentary shelters, the meeting points where plans are hatched over cups of sweet tea. They are the veins and arteries of the insurgency. And in a scene as old as conflict itself, the troops put them to the torch. You can imagine the glow of the flames against the night sky. It's a harsh, necessary act of war. It's a message written in fire and smoke. You are not safe here. Your safe havens are not safe. It's a brutal but effective way of denying the enemy the ability to live off the land. With the fire still burning at Kayawa, the focus shifted back to the primary objective, Sabon Gari Fishingo. The troops rolled in and conducted a cordon-and-search operation. This is the meticulous, dangerous part of the job. It means going house to house, looking at faces, checking documents, searching bags. It's tedious, but it's where real intelligence is often found. And it paid off. They arrested 2 men, Dahiru Haruna and Salele Lawali. On the surface, these are just names, but their alleged role is critical. They are suspected Boko Haram logistics suppliers.
Now, let's break down what was found with them. It wasn't bombs or belts. It was a large quantity of drugs and medical consumables, and one tricycle, a Jega as it's popularly known. This is where the story gets even more sinister. We often think of terrorists as needing only guns and bullets, but an insurgency is a living thing. Fighters get sick, they get wounded, they need medicine. And drugs? Drugs are used for many things, to numb the fear of young abducted fighters, to keep them awake during long operations, or sometimes even traded for other goods. Think about this. When you see a tricycle delivering goods in your neighborhood, what do you think of? Groceries? Supplies for a local shop? We rarely think of them as a potential weapon of war. But in the intricate web of the insurgency, a tricycle becomes a logistics vehicle. It can move through villages and bush paths that a truck cannot. It's the perfect cover. These arrests weren't just about grabbing two guys. It was about severing a thread in the terrorist supply chain. This wasn't a random patrol. This was a deliberate, calculated strike as part of a wider, sustained offensive known as Operation Sanity. You have to understand the strategy here. For years, the military has been pushing the terrorists out of major towns and into the fringes, places like the Timbuktu Triangle, the Mandara Mountains, and the rugged terrain around Lake Chad. But pushing them out isn't enough. You have to starve them. That's what Operation Sanity is all about. It's about dismantling the enclaves, yes, but more importantly, it's about disrupting the logistics networks. It's one thing to have a fighter in the bush. It's another thing entirely for him to eat, get ammunition, or treat a wound. By going after the suppliers, the men bringing in the drugs, the medical supplies, the fuel, the military is trying to make the bush uninhabitable for the insurgents.
We saw this strategy in action earlier this year, when troops uncovered massive underground logistics storage facilities in the Timbuktu Triangle, stocked with medical supplies, fuel, and even grinding machines. The military is systematically dismantling the terrorist economy. So what does this mean for the people of Sabon Gari Fishingo and the surrounding areas? It's complicated. On one hand, there is relief. Every successful operation, every destroyed structure, every logistics supplier arrested is a small return to normalcy. It means a farmer might be able to venture a little further to his fields. It means a fisherman might stay out a little later. But there is also a deep, pervasive fatigue. The people of Borno have been living with this for over a decade. Just a few months ago, in January 2026, the community was reminded of the brutal human cost of this conflict. In an incident that shook the region, terrorists executed kidnapped IDPs, including a man named Dahiru, simply because their families couldn't raise a ransom of millions of naira. His brother, Mohammed, survived 21 days of captivity, chained and tortured, only to be released after a ransom was finally crowdfunded by a poor community. When you hear stories like that, how does it make you feel? Angry? Helpless? It should make us all think about the resilience of the human spirit. These are people who have lost everything, yet they sold their jewelry to save a neighbor's son. They are not just victims, they are survivors. Community leaders have spoken out, pleading with the government. As Bulama Marte, a community leader, put it after the IDP killings, "We are tired of this situation. We cannot depend on aid alone, and the only work available to us is in the bush, a very dangerous venture. They are trapped between the need to feed their families and the fear of being killed or kidnapped."
The arrests of Dahiru Haruna and Salele Lawali are a victory, but it's a single battle in a very long war. The suspects are now in custody, and the items are being documented as evidence. They will be questioned, and hopefully they will lead the security forces to the next link in the chain. The security situation in the northeast remains, as the military often describes it, calm but unpredictable. The threat is diminished but not defeated. This is where you and I come in. We are not soldiers. We cannot go into the bush, but we have a role to play. Senator Ali Ndume, who represents Borno South, said something crucial after recent attacks. He called for cooperation with the military, particularly in information sharing on the modus operandi of terrorists. That is the civic duty of every Nigerian. If you see something strange, an unfamiliar face in the community, a suspicious delivery, someone buying too much fuel or medical supplies without a good reason, say something. This is my final call to you. If you've made it this far,
you care about the safety and security of our nation, please hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Share this video. Let's make sure these stories are seen. Awareness is the first line of defense. We need to support our troops. We need to pray for the safe return of every displaced person to their homeland. And we need to understand that the path to peace is not just paved with bullets and bombs, but with intelligence, community, and the unshakable will of the Nigerian people to live in peace. For now, the people of Sabon Gari Fishingo will sleep a little easier, knowing that 2 fewer supply lines are open to the enemy. The tricycle is impounded, the drugs are seized, and 2 men are answering tough questions. It is a small step, but in the long walk to peace, every step counts.